Welcome to the Mystic Hour with Claire Stone and Nathaniel Warren.
Welcome everyone back to the Mystic Hour, where of course I am joined by Claire in the studio, and we have a very exciting episode today. I love doing these. I think these are some of my favourite bits. I just love sitting down. We've got a mystical chat today. We're going to chat about some interesting stuff, splitting it into two different topics, which Claire doesn't even know what exactly we're going to be speaking about today. I'm putting her on the spot.
What's going to happen right now?
Exactly.
So I hope I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Imagine I just said something that you know, completely
I didn't even
random.
do that. I didn't even know what that means.
Yeah. But we're going to have some interesting chats, of course. It's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. So, what should we start off with? I've got two different topics in mind that I want to speak about. I'll speak about the one that was on my mind right now.
Yeah.
And then we'll speak about the one which we'd already discussed a little bit later on. Mm-hmm. So the first thing I wanted to speak about, and we kind of spoke about this a bit earlier as well in some of the other shows that we've done, is star signs.
Yes.
Right, a very big topic.
Yeah.
One that, of course, we speak about a lot anyway because we do Tarot Tuesdays, which is a predictions for everyone's star sign. We also, of course, talk about the seasons that we're going into and go a bit more in depth with it on that. But I am more interested today with the actual sort of logistics of it, if this makes sense, right? The logistics of it. So, for example, right, so everyone is a star sign. A star sign is from a certain date to a certain date. Yeah. I suppose a question I have is, let's say someone was born right at the end of a star sign. Would they be likely to have different personality traits or be different in any way to someone born at the start of the star sign?
Yeah, so they're in three sections. They'll be on the cusp.
Right.
So I'm like the 22nd of October, so that's the end of Libra. But luckily, I'm not on the cusp. So if I was on the 23rd, for instance, I might be more kind of like Libra, Scorpio, a bit of both. Yeah. If I was the 23rd. But yeah, you get split into three sections, basically. Star signs. So the beginning of your sign. So like, for instance, we'll talk about like Libra. So the beginning of Libra, because we're in Libra season. Yeah. Then you get the middle and the end. So I don't feel like I'm anything like the beginning of Libra, but I do get some attributes. So I do like lovely, nice, shiny things, like not all Libras do. But yeah, I might not necessarily be as flaky. Or as fickle as the beginning one. It can vary. And it's funny, like, you know, one of my friends is end of Libra as well, but we're quite similar. Right. But I'm not similar to my friends that are early or sometimes middle. Right. I'm like similar in some ways, but not as much as the end of Libra friends that I've got. So I do think there's something in that, definitely.
See, that's really interesting because so here's another sort of question onto it, and this might not even be a question that necessarily has an answer. I'm not sure, but would you say someone that is, let's say you were on the cusp of I don't know, any star sign, would you be closer, would you have attributes from the people you were close to that are in a different star sign? Would you almost be closer to them than people in your actual own star sign that are on the other cusp of it?
Well, you could be, because your rising sign could be the next sign on. Like mine is Scorpio. So my rising sign is Scorpio. So when people think of Scorpios, they think of mysticalness. Yeah. Or like goths. Like, you know, weird stuff like that. And that is what I do. You don't associate what I'm like with a Libra. Like you wouldn't say, oh, Claire's like, you know, with a Libra, you would expect them to be all in pink and, you know, pink, you know, fluffy things and everything's nice and lovely. Whereas end of Libra, actually, it's funny that my rising is Scorpio because I'm like end of Libra and I am more witchy and I am more mystical and I am into the alternative stuff and style of life, which is like a beginning of a Scorpio. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's very... Yeah.
See, I think that's really interesting because I think a lot of people's... a lot of people's negative connotations towards star signs and stuff. I think part of that comes from the idea of, if you were born 1 second into a star sign, you'd be vastly different than if you were before that second you were a different star sign. No. But like you're saying, that's not the case at all. No.
So you don't necessarily... I was talking about this actually with your dad. Right. Like a while ago, because I've always thought your dad was an Aries, like forever, but he's a Pisces. Right. But I don't think your dad's a Pisces at all. He is way more Aries than a Pisces. Like Josh, your brother, is a Pisces.
Yeah, very different.
Josh
very different.
is nothing like your dad at all. Nothing at all. But it's probably because like your dad is more, I would say, like late Pisces. He's on that cusp. So you think, yeah, like he's definitely more Aries than he is Pisces because of that. And he is, I think I looked at his chart actually and I thought, yeah, you are a Pisces. It does say Pisces on there, but the rest of your chart is like really fiery and really like airy and earthy and stuff. And you match that more. You're not watery at all, I would say. I'd say bits of your dad are.
Right.
But yeah, because he's so on that cusp, it's, yeah, even though the chart says Pisces, I'm like going with Aries all the way. He's more like he's rising all the way. When that comes in.
You've said about a rising sign. What is it? Because I know there's various different things that make up your star sign, right? You've got the main one, which is obviously the month. But what are the other ones? Because I don't even necessarily know what they are.
So many. Right, we'll be here all day.
right. Just the basic, the main ones,
I'll do the
I
basics.
suppose.
I'll do the basics, right. So it depends on your chart. So you've got your moon sign. So I'll go through like with mine at the moment. So like my moon is in Aquarius.
Right.
So you've got your moon one, you've got your rising sign, so mine's in Scorpio. You've also got Venus, basically all the planets.
Right,
You've got all the planets in your chart, but they're all in different signs. Okay. So depending on where you were born, they're all in different signs, and that makes up you. So that's why you can't get a Libra that's 100% Libra, because you've got so many other things coming in there. Like Aquarius moon, for instance, is just like kind of, that's probably why I've got my own business.
Right.
Because like a Libra will probably be like, no, I'm just happy to go with like crowd or whatever. Whereas an Aquarius moon is like, no, you're not. You're having your own business. You're doing this. You're like very, the boss when that comes up. You get a lot of people with moon in Aquarius that's celebrities, actually.
Right.
If you look at people's charts or things online, they've all got moon in Aquarius, which is like, I have to be on the top. Which a Libra wouldn't do as much. And like my rising is Scorpio, so I'm into the more mystical side of the world, and spirit and stuff like that, which makes that up. And my Venus is in Libra, so that does make me like, I like things that are lovey-dovey, and I don't like to rock the boat too much. Right. And then your Mars sign, so mine's in Virgo. That's why I'm a neat freak. Yeah. A Libra isn't like that as much. Like Libra's like things perfect, but they're not obsessive.
So you basically just take attributes from all the different star signs that you are made out of. And is it, so I know, for example, the only ones that I really know are obviously the day you're born. Yeah. But would the month go into that, I suppose?
So day, month, time, and place.
I know time's one. Place
you were born, where the sun and the moon and all the planets are. Right, okay. Where you were born. So like when, like my friend does charts, and she will say like, what time are you born? What, day, month, and all the rest of it, but also where were you born? I was like, why do you want to know that? But it's like, we need to know in perfect alignment over the hospital at the time of your birth, like where you were born and stuff like that. So so all the planets are in the right place, because if you go out and you say, I don't know when I was like born and all this is going to happen, it can be out a little bit, right? So that's why like sometimes you might do someone's chart and you've not got their place of birth, then it'd be different if you did. Right. So you've always got to be like,
needs to be very accurate.
Yeah, it has to be accurate.
Interesting. Very interesting. So here's another one for you, right? Here's another one adding on to it. Are there notoriously bad mixtures with people? So for example, a Gemini and a Scorpio, would they be like, are there ones that you would look at and go, those two people will not get on? Or alternatively, are there ones that you'd go, those two people would get on? And what would be the most like prominent examples of that? Right.
So if you're being easy peasy on this, like very just boring, air signs are good with other air signs. So your Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, they're all good together. We're in partnerships and friendships and things like that. They find it easier. Fire signs and earth signs, water signs is all the same. If you're going out with other signs, for instance, air signs are usually better with a fire sign, because they have that kind of these similar attributes with each other. Right. They might, an air sign might find an earth sign too serious, or a water sign too emotional. Like I like emotion, but I don't like it that much. Yeah. But then the thing is, your chart then plays into it. So not everyone's going to go out with another air sign or another fire sign. So you'll look at someone and go, God, like me and Josh were actually weirdly talking about this the other day. So for instance, Kylie Jenner at the moment is going out with Timothée Chalamet.
Yes.
Right. So he is a Capricorn and she is a Leo. That is disaster. That is terrible.
Right.
Those signs are awful together. I was reading as well, they're 5 signs apart. If you're 5 signs apart from someone, don't even bother with it.
Right.
It can usually mean you're thrown together because of some weird event, or you have some weird similarity in your life that brings you together, but they usually end up in tears,
Right.
or they have arguments all the time, or it can just be like you're fated to be together. So even if you get along, it's like we're drawn together because it's fate somehow, but you look at each other like we have nothing in common at all, but we're fated together. So you get signs like that where you think, what the hell? Like my mum and dad, for instance, Capricorn and Aquarius, not good.
Right.
Like at all. But they're neighbours. If you're a neighbour, sometimes you can be good together as well.
Okay, right.
And they have the same moon sign. So the same moon, they both got moon in Libra. So that makes them have similarities to each other where they will get along. So they'll have differences and probably argue every 5 minutes. But their similarities will always outweigh that.
Right.
And their common ground will always outweigh that. So that's why they've been together for so long.
Yeah.
Like me and Josh. Libra and Pisces are 5 apart, but that should be a disaster. So me and Josh are like Kylie and Timothée.
Yeah.
When that comes up. But because he's a sensitive Pisces, it kind of tricks it a little bit because with my Scorpio rising, that goes really nicely with a Pisces.
Right.
So that emotion kind of links up with each other.
So once again, so almost similar answer to the question we had earlier, where it's not just as plain as it seems. It is all of your signs, all of the different attributes you have. There's little bits that might mix in.
Although sometimes you can be like on the money with it, and like, you know, you could see some couples together like an Aries or a Pisces or whatever and think that's Unveiled, and you're usually right. Like they just don't get on. Or even like a Capricorn and a Leo, that is just terrible. I've known people, Capricorn Leo relationships, they've always broken up every time. Because Leo is just too dominant. The Capricorn likes to be the dominant one in a relationship. Where like an air sign would, like, you know, like my mum and dad, like Aquarius, will just recede a little bit. They can be the alpha, the Capricorn, and it works quite nicely. But a Leo and a Capricorn, they're both like the alpha. One can't bow to the other at all. So that's why it can end in tears when you get that.
Interesting.
That's how it works.
Interesting. Well, I'm being wary of time for now.
Okay.
I think that's been really good chat to start with star signs and stuff. I'm sure there's more we could go into. Maybe we will in the future.
Yes.
But for now, I think that's a good place to start. And very interesting as well, because like I was saying earlier, I think it's star signs in general are an idea that gets a lot of stick. Like, I think it's one that people do, you know, rush up against. And even, like, personally, for example, I'm very open-minded. I find all this stuff fascinating. I find it interesting. I don't see how you couldn't.
Yeah.
And for example, I relate to the idea of destiny, of fate. I think that's a very, you know, I can see myself getting behind that, for example. But then with my lack of knowledge of star signs and stuff, I suppose you look at it as more, I don't know if I believe that sort of thing, you know?
Yeah, like with astrology, what's good, it's a bit different than spiritual stuff, is, you know, there's planets in the sky. Yeah. You know they move. They do like crazy things. And that's what, that push and pull with those planets, that's what affects your mood and your personality. So it's kind of like sometimes you can't deny that a lot of the time. I think where people get put off astrology is you sometimes get things like these like Mystic Meg things and that. Right. They just do it like, you know, it's like a bit of fun or whatever. So, you know, sometimes people might think on Tarot Tuesdays, whatever, but I'm doing that more with like cards, not with astrology. Where you think, well, that's not really suits me. Well, of course it's not, because they're not doing it off of your chart. Yeah. They're doing it just off of a broad thing. Yeah. Like, so that's where I think some people get it, where they're like, oh, I don't even believe in that. I don't know if I like that. If you had your chart done, you'd probably think differently, because that is where it's aligned, it's all measured out. It's more correct and factual. So sometimes people that aren't spiritual will actually get on board with astrology. Yeah. When they see the facts more laid out in front of them. Yeah, I definitely think that explanation of it like makes a lot more sense. Yeah. Yeah, so, you know, what I do on Tarot Tuesday and what, like, proper astrologers do with, you know, charts, I would say is more correct or factual. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Well, of course, we're going to be back in a minute to speak about some more interesting stuff. The Mystic Hour. Stars, spirits, and souls.
Welcome everyone back to the Mystic Hour. I'm of course your host as always, Nathaniel Warren, joined by my co-host for the show, Claire, in the studio.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Of course, we are doing our mystical chats today, where I love doing the mystical chats. I think they're so much fun. And the next topic we've got, it's a fascinating one.
Yes.
It's really interesting. It's a bit dark.
It's a bit dark, yes. We've discussed this before. What we can say, what we can't say.
Yeah,
about this.
exactly. But I'm sure whatever we do end up saying is going to be really interesting either way. So what we're going to speak about now is curses.
Yes.
And I suppose dark magic as well. So this I find fascinating. I find this so interesting. So I think without sort of jumping in and asking you questions straight away, I'll almost let you explain dark magic as a whole, and we can sort of jump into questions and stuff afterwards, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like dark magic as a whole is like, you know, people say white witch, like dark witch or whatever. White witch would typically, you know, just do little spells about love spells, or, you know, like kitchen witchery, which is, you know, using extra herbs or whatever and stuff like that. More of the darker stuff, you would say it could be like voodoo dolls. Cursing people, or doing bad intent on people with spells. You know, people typically think of a cauldron in the middle of somewhere, and, you know, you're like mixing
like a decrepit fixture.
Yeah, like think of a film. That isn't always the case. A lot of people can do this. Some people even think like a curse is technically bad karma on someone that you've made, like manifested by accident, even sometimes. We all do it. Like sometimes we could think something bad of someone, they've hurt us, and you think something bad, and then something bad happens to me, you think, oh my god, like what's happened?
So would you not even necessarily need to be psychic for that, or a medium?
No, not all the time. It's better if you were a witch or a psychic or whatever. You had that energy around you. If you've got a lot of energy around you, it works better. Obviously don't try this at home. Use an expert if you want to do it. With a normal person, sometimes it could backfire on you more.
Right.
So you could just feel like, oh, I've got bad luck now as well.
Right.
Whereas more of a witchy person, it's kind of like, because you're using those energies properly. Like when I say to people, I did this on Pandora's Box about Ouija boards. Don't, other than an expert, probably it's not best to use one, because you can't control it. And that's the same with dark magic. You can't control it. That's why people are scared of it, or say, you know, just stick to your white witchcraft, easy peasy stuff. Don't mix with the dark arts, because it will backfire on you and it could cause bad luck or problems. I think that's more for normal people. More witchy types of psychic people, a lot of them don't even need to do any magic, really. A lot of it is just intent on someone, you know, and it could backfire. Some people do it with pictures as well. A client of mine had a picture that was given to her, and she said it's been cursed. This lady drew a picture for her, put bad intent on it. Right. She's a witch. And she said, I've had nothing but bad luck. I thought it would be okay because I'm a witch, and it's not. How do I get rid of it? Yeah. A lot of people think, you know, burning things are good. You know, some witchy people say, oh, I'll burn it and get rid of the curse. Don't, because it's actually making it worse. Whoa. Like aggravating it. Yeah, it's basically, you're like doing a spell. So you're saying, oh, I love this curse. I'm going to burn it and put it into the atmosphere. Right. I will bury it. Usually with things like that, that's what I told her to do, is bury it, and do usually like a prayer over it. To do the opposite, be a bit more spiritual, a bit more Christian over the top of it to kind of counteract it. And what I do as a witchy person as well, like, you know, you get bad energies coming for readings, I'll protect myself and say, you know, angels protect me or shield me every day. That's how a lot of kind of cursey witchy people can get around it as well. They'll protect themselves with their own guides or angels or other things that they like to use, or symbols from paganism. So with the idea of a picture, that one for example, that sounds quite fascinating. So how does that work? Is that like they draw the picture? Is it a photo? Is it? Yeah, so it can be with anything, any object. I've had this for another person as well, where they've just had bad intent. So it can be kind of like, I hate this person, as they're drawing it out on the thing. It can be really, and I curse this person and I'm drawing it out. I put nothing but bad vibes into this and I give it to them. they hang it up on the wall and they have nothing but bad luck.
Whoa.
Like, you know, they had really, but I can't go into it too much just in case they listen or whatever, but
Yeah,
they had
of course.
nothing but bad luck. It was terrible. But hopefully that's gone now since he done what I told him to
Yeah.
do. But yeah, so yeah, that you can put bad intent onto that, or objects as well. Actually, I had one last week. He had something in his car. He said someone gave him something. It was like a Christian symbolism or whatever, but usually that's lucky. That's good. But they put bad like vibes onto it. And he crashed his car. He's had nothing but bad luck. When I said get rid of it now. If and they said, well, they're a bit of a weird person, they're a bit odd. I'm like, that means it's got bad vibes on it, get rid of it. I said they've not probably intentionally cursed it, but they've probably put their bad energy on it to make it like not good for you.
Right.
So that's why, like with me, for instance, I never have anything secondhand in my house that's spiritual at all, ever. Because it's probably put all their like different bits and pieces into it and stuff, and I just leave it alone. So yeah, so when I buy anything like cards, like tarot cards, anything like ornaments, that type of thing, unless it's been from a family member of mine, it won't come in my house.
So is that why, for example, you could buy a house, for example, and go into that house and just instantly feel bad vibes?
Yeah.
Like some places just don't feel nice, do they?
Yeah, because sometimes they think, oh, a spirit doing it. And I'm like, no, I think the person that left that house has cursed it. Or said, or sometimes this is why I say to people, never move into a house where someone's gone bankrupt. Never move into a house where someone's got divorced or someone's died. Yeah. Because usually they've had that bad energy around them and it festers and it can turn into a bit of a curse.
Right.
So they'll come in and think, I've got bad spirits in this house. And I'm like, yeah, like you've got spirits there, but they can't do that much damage, God. Like, you know, some do, and you do get that. That's completely separate to this. But then in other houses, they'll be like, this is a brand new house, brand new build. And I'm like, it's jinxed. Right. You can't change it. Like, I'd move out if I were you. You know, and then some houses you move into, you know, someone could have passed away and you're really lucky and it's really lovely, or someone's divorced and it's really lucky and lovely. But a lot of the times I see people, they're like, oh, like it's horrible, I don't like it. And I'm like, yeah, because it's jinxed. It's not very good. Get that with cars as well. People do that on vehicles too. Yeah. So yeah, I'm always like very, very careful with what I buy and with what I do. Like the house we live in now, no one's ever lived in it before us. The ground has been built on. I could tell it's fine. A lot of people can't tell that they're not psychic, so it's really difficult. Whereas with the one we were in before, I should never have moved in there. Really? Because it had spirit in there, so that was one of the bad things. It had loads of bad spirit in there. But it also, I think it was jinx because the people that had it, well, it was a pub, it used to be, and then we lived at the top, they lost it. Right. So I thought, yeah, it's got nothing but bad energy on that. It's jinxed. So I should never have gone in there. So yeah, that's why I felt like I'm cursed. You're not actually, yourself isn't cursed. It's the actual building that
things you're surrounding yourself with.
Yeah. So that's what it is. So that's why I'm always very careful with what I do.
Interesting. So basically almost another little tip for people, don't just take
always look into it.
Random stuff from people that might be a bit strange, or
do you feel someone's a bit odd, like a bit witchy or a bit odd, and they've given you like something that's got a symbol on it, or and they're giving it to you and you think, oh, that's good luck. It isn't always. Right. If you've had a bad relationship with that person in the past as well, always be wary. Yeah. Because they're not always got good intent on that. So always, be careful with stuff like that. And, you know, anyone spiritual, psychic, even if they say I'm a good witch or I'm a good medium, always be careful because it can backfire on you. You know, sometimes in readings, like some people are so superstitious when they come to me with readings. They'll come and sit down and they will pay me first, or they will give me coins for good luck. Or they say thank you after every single thing I say. Right. Every single thing. It's like, thank you. Like, because they think she'll give me bad, like, juju. If I
trying to keep in your good books.
I was like, if you're nice to me, I'm all right. Like, you know what I mean? Keep my good, but some they don't. Some people, they come to see you and they'll be like, you know, a bit off, or so like, psychic, like that. I'm like, whatever happens in a reading, good or bad, always be careful, because people around a psychic or a medium, sometimes you get good and bad vibes on that. If you get one that does not like you, they'll just go home with you.
Right.
So yeah, I'm always like that to people. Always be polite, always be respectful. Like in certain cultures and countries in the world, like psychics and witches are highly regarded. Like people, if you don't believe in it, you just don't go near them. Like it's like that. You don't even say anything about them because they're worried they'll curse you. Like the old kind of traveling community and stuff. Like that's a big thing, curses. You know, like the Romani community and stuff. Like, you know, if you do something wrong, they will curse you.
Yeah.
Used to be like we were taught that as children, like always be respectful
Whoa.
and stuff because it could backfire on you. Like always, they offer you something, politely decline or buy it.
Right.
Like just in case, because some of them are like more into the other worldly stuff and things. And I'm well into all of that. Like I've got loads of books on it and stuff. So yeah, like that's why you should always like be careful. Like I'm, you know, all right, I'm good. You know, if you're gonna be horrible to me, then you know, watch out. But yeah, it's a tricky one really because some witchy people, they don't realize they're doing it. So that's why I'm always careful with anyone I see or anyone I deal with. I'm always respectful, even if I feel like that was a load of rubbish they just told me, or that was, you know, they're a bit mad. Yeah. Always careful every time. Just, you know, just so you don't get bad vibes on you and stuff. So yeah, I always say to people, just make sure you're always respectful, and you don't have to go as far as, you know, crossing my, you know, palm with silver, or you know, having to say thank you all the time. Or like some people, like one woman said, I need to touch your hand before I go, like for luck. Or like some people will wear crucifixes around their neck when they come. I've had that before. Or like lucky charms and stuff like that. Like certain religions will do that. They will always wear a crucifix. Or they say thank you and they give you extra, or they do all the things like that. So I don't mind. Sometimes it makes it more fun. Like it's a bit more like, oh, I feel like an old school medium. Yeah.
Here's another one for you, right? Here's another question on the topic of black magic and curses. To the best of your ability, answer this. So there might be certain stuff you couldn't say, I don't know. But what is the worst example you have seen of someone being cursed?
I've seen a lot there.
Is there any that pop into your mind that are like, you saw it and you went, oh, that ain't good? Like they've got a bad energy about them, or they've got, you know, whatever is coming to that person is not going to be a good thing.
There are so many.
Really?
Yeah. Like one of them, someone crashed their car. Like someone who's listened to this today will know what I mean by this.
Right, okay.
They did it on someone. So they cursed someone that was horrible to them. And they smashed their car up into a lamppost right outside near where they lived.
Whoa.
And nearly died.
Yeah.
But that thing with curses is they won't, like I said to you before, they won't work if you're just being vindictive or just nasty. If you just say, oh, I'm jealous of her, I would like curse her, it won't work. It will backfire on you. You will be punished for it. If someone's done you wrong or anything like that and you are powerful enough to do it, it will work. So things that I've seen have worked because they've been really horrible to them, and it's worked. One other one we were talking about earlier, someone broke their ankle in front of us. Another one, someone got really, really unwell. Just like it can also be, if they're not necessarily curses, but if you want to like make them move away, they work as well. You can think, oh, I don't want them anywhere near me ever again. I want them to move away, and that's happened a lot.
Like banishment.
Yeah, banishment. Yeah. That's what it is, but you do it more through energy. Right. But that's like a nice one, actually, you could do. Like, again, it will work more if they've not been good or you feel like their energy's not good for you. You can do that. There's certain ways you can do it in, I would say, a white witch way as well, which isn't like black or dark energy at all. You can, this thing that someone showed me years ago was a freeze and out spell, where you put their name on a piece of paper and you put it in the freezer.
Okay.
And you wait, and then that's like a banishment. They will literally go out of your life. You'll never see them again, but nothing bad happens to them. They go. Yeah. Another one is a toilet one. The toilet one works really quickly. Okay. you put their name on a piece of toilet roll, you screw it up, like put it like that, and you chuck it down, and again it's a banishment. It'll go.
Right.
So
Flushing them out.
Yeah, that one works a treat. That one.
Yeah.
That one's really, really good. But those are like nice ones,
right?
Where you're not doing anything nasty or horrible. Technically, you're just saying, I just want them removed. You know, even if it's like I don't see them or hear from them ever again. They're like better ones, like curses and stuff. Like leave that to the experts. Don't dabble with that. On
the topic of curses, right? What would be, so you spoke about some nice ones. What would be like the worst? Like you spoke about voodoo dolls earlier.
Yeah, voodoo dolls.
Is that like an example of a really bad one?
Voodoo stuff. Yeah, they can be. Again, you get a lot of people that do those are doing it with good intent.
Right.
So like bad intent, but you know they're doing it because someone's been horrible.
Right.
And they'll put pins and things and stuff like that. I would never mess around with anything like that. Like that is, to me, is just too extreme. Like, and that's like a lot of witchy people. They just don't do that. It's just too extreme and a bit silly because that could backfire on you because it's very intense.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I wouldn't do that. But yeah, another ways you could do it is like rituals, like incantations, stuff like that. Again, it's messy. Like the way anyone, like a normal witch would do it is more karma based.
Yeah.
Like you would do, like even just feeling sad. Like sometimes for me, I notice, even if someone's like upset me or made me feel sad, like if, for instance, Josh, if he said something like as a joke but isn't funny or whatever, like you'll trip over.
Right.
Like, and he's like, oh, you did that to me. Like anyone always looks at me like, you did that. Oh my God, you're a witch.
Like instant karma.
Yeah, but that's it. It's instant karma. It's not. It's instant karma.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of people get that where they like, oh, like they like could go fall from the top to the bottom of the stairs. But you've been really horrible to me today. Oh no, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But or an incident I had actually once. There's this guy that lives near us. Like he's horrible. Like really horrible to his wife and that.
Right.
And I was walking back like one day and his car crashed into the wall. His kid had let the handbrake off and it crashed into the wall.
Right.
The first thing he did was look at me, even though I was nowhere near the car. He was like,
you did this.
The witch did it. Like,
that's crazy.
So I thought, yeah, like things like that are like karma bait. Like that's like quite good. Like people, you can feel a bit good about yourself.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. That's mainly my life really. Like, is that, like, if someone does anything horrible, like, oh, no, I shouldn't have said that to Claire. Because that's going to happen to me now, isn't it? But I don't even have to lift a finger. I could just sit back and go, yeah, look how it plays out. Like, yeah, especially with Josh. Josh is the funniest one because, yeah, he'll trip over or he's like, oh, that's not happening now. You've made that not happen. That gig. I was like, I really don't want to go. It's like, oh, they're so annoying. And then it's like, oh, I'm not going now. Great. Like, it's like you've cursed it. Like, yeah. He said, you're controlling my life by witchcraft. But actually, no, it's just with my mind.
Yeah.
And building that energy up to do it. Or
almost like what's the word? When you build it up by like positive reinforcement, almost putting it out into the world, you're almost doing that, but
you're manifesting it.
Manifesting, that's the word.
You cancel things or to like shift things a little bit, or like if you don't like someone too much, you think, oh, I really hope they don't turn up to I'm manifesting this, but it's kind of black magic when you do that. Right.
So here's another question, and this might be the final question just because we are running out of time. This is definitely a topic that we're going to have to speak about more in the future because it's so interesting. But black magic, does that have, like, I know we've said, obviously, for anyone listening, this is a good thing about it. If it's not deserved, it won't happen. Yeah. Right? But does it also leave a mark on the person that's done it? So if you were to use black magic, is that almost, I almost imagine it, you know, like the Sith in Star Wars, where when they use it, it affects them badly at the same time. The power, the dark force that they're using, it affects them badly, even if it affects the other person that they're trying to affect badly too. Yeah.
So again, if you're being like nasty about it or vindictive, it'll backfire on you. You'll be punished for it, like big time as well. It could even be the curse that you wanted on them will happen to you instead. Which is quite a comforting thought as well. So the thing is, if you've not done anything wrong, then you can be safe. Yeah. You're all right. Yeah. You know, if you've been polite and you've been kind and everything, then you've nothing to worry about whatsoever because it will backfire on that person and they'll get it tenfold probably. if they have been bad, or if you feel like, or sometimes people get this if they, like I get this if someone's been talking about you behind your back or whatever, nothing will happen to you at all. The only thing, like, you know, some dark witches do, they'll give an offering, like a reward to spirit or gods or whatever, and say, I'm giving you this, or I sacrifice this so this can happen to this person. But again, it's messy. It's
almost like cutting deals.
Yeah, that is spirit.
Yeah,
you got to do deals all the time with them, like anything, even like nice stuff you want. It's like, okay, I'll be extra good today, or I won't say anything. It's like having a parent. Like, and it's like that with that as well. It's like, right, okay, I give you this offering for this, or I will do an extra so many readings and not moan about one of them today.
Yeah.
Like, and it can happen. But yeah, like curses are like one of those things people sometimes do once every 20 years. It's not like an everyday thing. You do, like someone I read, like we were talking about a while ago, she's very much into cursing all the time, especially men. And she said, well, that worked, this worked, and all the rest of it. I'm not like that, because I'm like all right as I am, you know. But yeah, you do get people like that are very gung-ho about it and love it, and then she comes to me for a reading saying, I don't know why I've got so much bad luck at the moment.
Right.
I'm like, well, you've just said you've cursed about 5 people. Like, what do you expect? So just basically don't do it. Just let karma play out. Yeah. And it's easier. That's what I do. I just let karma play out. Energy for me, you know, if you've got bad energy towards me or anyone else, you're going to get it back.
Yeah. Let the world do its thing.
The world always does its thing. And, you know, I know all about this stuff because I'm into witchy stuff, you know, mainly more good magic and things. It's just a problem that spirit just got my back too much, Nathaniel, you know? So they'll be like, I'm going to make them pay for that. Yeah. But it'll be like a silly thing, though, like, tripping over or something getting cancelled, not I've ruined their life. You know, that's only for the really bad guys. That's only for the really bad guys. But that's very, you know, that could be once in a lifetime type thing. So, yeah. Well,
that's been really interesting. Unfortunately, we're running out of time. Like I said, definitely going to have to do more parts of this because definitely. I feel like this is such a big topic that we've only just sort of touched the surface really. But that's been really good. Hopefully all of you listening at home, whether you're watching on YouTube, which you can now do for anyone listening on the radio, check us out on the Aspen Waite Radio YouTube channel. For anyone listening on YouTube, let us know, what do you want to see us speak about in the future? Leave a comment, leave a like, and hopefully you've all enjoyed. Thanks for joining me in the studio once again, Claire.
Thank you.
And what are the last 2 tracks you have picked for us?
Okay, so I've got Green Lung, and it's their new one at the moment called Maxine the Witch Queen.
Very fitting.
That's for me.
Yeah.
And I've got Witch Hazel.
Nice.
I think, what's it called? This
Fire's Control.
Yeah. So
very
I thought
fitting.
And it's weird because I didn't know that until we came in earlier and we were talking about people getting cursed and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought
exactly
that was
like
cool.
we say as well. That's another cool thing about Mystical Chat for anyone listening. Claire never knows what we're going to talk about because, to be honest, when I come in the morning, I don't know what we're going to talk about. I just kind of think, what do I want to speak about this week?
Yeah.
We end up talking about it, but you are such an expertise on all these topics that it always ends up being interesting. So, thanks for joining me once again. Don't forget, Claire will be joining us on Tuesday.